Hello, welcome to Computer Science Hill. In this tutorial, we're going to look at how to use while loops. While loops are really useful in Python programming. Programmers use them all the time. They can help make things a lot easier for various different programs. And we're going to have a look at some basic ways that we can use them. We're going to look at a number guessing game, and we're going to look at how to count using a while loop. So you can see here to begin with, this is what we're going to try and do. We're going to try and make a program where the user has to enter a number to guess, and it will keep asking them to enter it again each time they get it wrong. And when they do finally get it right, in this case the number to guess was 21, it will display number correct. So if you want to pause the video and have a go at doing this yourself first, you can. And then here we're going to use a while loop to try and count from 1 to 5. Just like this. It's going to display 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like so. So let's get started. So for the number guesser game, here we go. We're going to create a variable first to store a number to guess. So I'm going to call this, rather than calling it just number, because we're going to have two variables to store two different numbers, I want them to have a bit of a better name. So number to guess will be a bit more useful. And here I'm just going to put the number as 21 to guess. I've just picked a number at random there. Then what I'm going to do next is get the user to enter a number to guess. So we're going to create a different variable for that. So user number. I'm just going to call it user number. So here we're going to get the users to enter a number, and we want this number to be an actual number. We want the program to store it as a number, so then we can apply some mathematical principles to it. So to do that, rather than just having input, if we have input on its own, it will treat the number like it's a piece of text, like it's a string, which we don't want. We want to treat it like a number. So we want to convert this to an integer, so we use the int function for that. So if we put that round, we have an open bracket there and a closing bracket at the end of the input statement. So the input statement is within the brackets of the int function. This takes whatever value that we enter into input and converts it to an integer if we actually entered something that represents an integer. So an integer is just a whole number, like 1, 2, 3, 21, 512. So it's anything without a decimal point, any number without a decimal point. So now what we want to do, we want to check if the number that the user entered is equal to number to guess. But actually what we're going to do, we're going to check if it's not equal to that, because if it's not equal, then we want to get the user, we want to tell the user that it's incorrect and that they need to try again, and then we want to be able to get the users to enter the number again. So to do this, I'm going to use a while loop. So to use a while loop, I just use the keyword while, like so. And while user number does not equal, okay, number to guess, colon. So this means while user number does not equal, when there's an exclamation mark followed by an equal symbol, this means does not equal. So this is comparing the value of user number to the value of number to guess, and it's seeing if they're not equal. So if this statement here is true, okay, what this means is it's going to step into a block of code within the while loop, and we can see that what the block of code is because it's indented across like so. So the next thing that I want to do is print number is incorrect. Try again. Okay. So let's just see what happens there. So if I enter 20, which isn't correct because we're looking for 21, what it's actually done here is it's actually just printing number is incorrect, try again, over and over again, in an infinite loop. Basically, it's just repeating this over and over again That's because it prints this and then it checks the condition to see if user number does not equal the number to guess, and these two values here have not changed, so it's going to continuously repeat what's in this while loop. For it to stop, one of these values needs to change. So we want to make them become equal to each other, because that's basically the condition of the loop. The only way we can leave the loop is when user number is equal to number to guess, so the opposite of this statement. So let's give this a go. So what we want to do here is, if the number is incorrect, we want to get the users to enter the number again. So we just repeat that line of code up here. User number equals int input. So now, and you can see this is still part of the loop, because these lines of code are indented across. So what that means is there's a double space basically here, which means that they're part of that loop. When you're doing this, if you forget to put the colon at the end of the while statement and you press enter, it won't actually indent it for you automatically. And then you need to go back, and it will actually cause an error so if we run this now, it will say there's an error here, syntax error expected, because it's expecting a colon at the end here. So you need a colon there, and then here we'll have to manually indent it ourselves. So just press space once, twice, or it might be easier if you just delete that new line and press enter again, and it will automatically indent that line for you. So if we have a go now, so now if I enter 20, so now it shouldn't do an infinite loop, it should ask me to enter my number again. So what's happened here is I've entered the number 20, that doesn't equal the number to guess, which is 21. So that meets the condition of the loop to enter the loop. So it's entered the loop, and it's done this, and it's executed this line of code first. Number is incorrect, try again. And then it's asked me as the user to enter a number which will be reassigned to the variable user number. So now if I enter 13, it says number is incorrect again. Now if I enter 21, it should, if I enter the 21, it stops because it checks the loop, it checks the condition in the loop, and it sees that it no longer matches this, so it exits the loop, but there's no line of code after that. So what would be better is if we had a statement, so print number guessed correctly. Okay, so if we do that again, okay, if I enter 25, number is incorrect. If I enter 21, number guessed correctly, and the program stops. So that's one way we can use a while loop. Another way we can use a while loop is to increase the value of a counter from 1 to 5. So to do this, I'm going to have a variable called counter, which I'm going to initialize to the value 0. So now I'm going to have a really simple while loop just to increase the counter up to 5. So while counter is less than 5, colon, and what I'm going to do here, so this condition means, so if we use this symbol, this means less than. So while the counter, which is currently 0, while it's less than 5, what we want to do is increase the value of counter within each loop. So counter plus 1. So what this will do is it will take the current value of counter, which is 0 to begin with, add 1 to it, so then reassign the result of that to the counter itself. So counter will become 1, and then the next time it loops around, counter will be equal to 1, and then it will do counter, which is 1 plus 1. All right, so that'll make 2, and then it will reassign that to counter, so counter will then become 2, and then it'll keep doing that. So then it will be 3, and then 4, and then 5. So if I print counter. Okay, and run that now. So yeah, it does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the reason why it doesn't go beyond 5 is because we increased the value of counter in the last loop to 5, and then it goes to check the while loop condition again, and it will see that the counter, because the counter is 5, that's not less than 5, so it no longer meets the condition of the loop, so it will exit the loop and the program will stop. So that's two very straightforward ways of using while loops, which can be useful. While loops are really useful for like this, if you need to repeat something and you don't know how many times those lines of code will need to be repeated. So for example, guessing a number like this, we don't know how many times it will take the user to guess the number correctly. But you can also use them if you want something to happen a specific amount of time, like so. So here we've created a counter and it only goes up to 5. You can use a for loop for this, and we'll learn about that in another session. But yeah, if you wanted to change the counter here from, so if you wanted to go to 7, you just change that to 7 and it will go from 1 to 7 like so. Okay, thank you very much.